I was sitting at my desk this morning, just staring at my computer case.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing special, a
No.
standard mid-range tower, the kind you buy off the shelf.
Right.
And on the screen, there was a progress bar, just moving steadily to the right. And I'd pulled the Ethernet cable out just to be sure.
So it was totally offline.
Completely offline. And in under 2 minutes, that machine spat out a 10-second video.
Wow.
But it wasn't just, a silent, glitchy mess. It had dialogue.
No way.
Synchronized lip movements, background noise. It was a complete scene. And it hit me.
Yeah.
This isn't science fiction anymore. It's 2026. And that computer, it isn't just a computer. It's a persistent, autonomous production house sitting right on my desk.
It is a striking realization, isn't it? We've spent the last 2 years assuming that level of creation required, a massive server farm in California.
Exactly.
But the center of gravity has really shifted.
It really has, and that's what we're unpacking today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a stack that is effectively ending the era of the $30 a month subscription.
For sure.
If you are still paying for cloud services like Sora or Veo, or nervously counting your credits every month, you might want to cancel that after you hear this. We're talking about the Pinokio plus 1-2GP stack.
It's a bit of a mouthful to say 1-2GP, but the implications are they're massive.
Yeah.
We're going to walk through how to take a standard PC and turn it into a studio running LTX2 and 2.2.
And these are open source models that have finally caught up.
They've reached parity with the corporate giants, yeah.
And the best part, it's free. No credits, no corporate filters, just you and the hardware. We've got a roadmap for this because it gets a little technical, but we're going to keep it grounded.
Right.
First, we need to demystify the hardware, because I know that scares people. Then we'll look at the setup, the models, especially LTX2, which is kind of mind-blowing. And finally, the philosophy of why local privacy matters.
Sounds good. Let's start with the metal, the hardware barrier.
Right. Because I think there is this pervasive fear. I look at these AI videos with complex physics, lighting, water, and I just assume I need a $5,000 rig.
That is the most common misconception we see. And honestly, it stops people before they even start.
It's intimidating.
It is. The whole credit system model of the last few years trained us to think computation is scarce and expensive. We've been conditioned to think, oh, I can't do that. I don't have a supercomputer. But if you look at the specs required for ATX2 or 1.2 today, they are surprisingly accessible. You do not need a monster machine.
So let's get specific. I'm at my computer right now. If I pull up my task manager, what numbers am I actually looking for? What's the make or break stat?
Okay, so you're looking for the GPU, specifically the VRAM, the video RAM. That's the tank of gas for your AI engine.
Right.
If you're on Windows, you hit Control-Shift-Escape, go to Performance, and you just look at that number. The magic number for 720p video, which, let's be honest, is perfectly fine for most creative work or drafting, is 8 GB.
Wait, really? 8? That seems low. I mean, most mid-range cards from 3 or 4 years ago have that. Are you sure that's enough for video generation?
That's the floor. 8 gigs gets you in the door. It lets you run the distilled models.
Okay.
Now, if you want 1080p, you're probably looking at 12 GB plus. If you want native 4K, sure, then you need 24 GB, and that gets expensive.
Right.
But for the vast majority of people just trying to create an Nvidia RTX 3040 or even the new 50 series with 8 GB of VRAM is enough.
I have to admit, I have a bit of that hardware fear myself. I've hesitated to even try installing these things because I didn't want my computer to, melt.
Yeah, or just freeze up so bad you have to hard reboot.
Exactly. But you're saying 6 to 8 GB is actually viable.
It is, especially with the distilled versions of these models, which we'll get to. You also need about 16 GBs of system RAM, that's your normal memory, and roughly 20 to 40 gigs of disk space.
Which, in the context of modern computing, that's not a supercomputer.
Not at all. That's a mid-range gaming setup.
Yeah.
If you can play a modern video game on medium settings, you can probably run a movie studio.
That's a comforting thought. So, if the hardware isn't the gatekeeper anymore, what is? Why isn't everyone doing this?
It's just the willingness to install the software. The barrier is psychological, not physical.
Psychological. That's interesting. It's that feeling of this is too technical for me, right?
Exactly.
Which leads us perfectly into the solution, because historically, installing local AI was, well, it was a nightmare.
Oh, it was dependency hell. Total nightmare.
Dependency hell. I love that term. Explain what that actually felt like for people who missed that era.
So imagine you want to run a program. But to run it, you need Python.
Okay.
But not just any Python. You need version 3.1.0.6 specifically. And then you need CA drivers, but only version 11.8. And then you install some other library, and it updates your Python to 3.11, and suddenly everything breaks. You'd spend 3 hours just staring at a command prompt with red text scrolling by.
And you haven't even generated a single pixel.
Not a single one.
Yeah, that's usually the moment I close the laptop and go watch TV. But the source material highlights this tool called Pinokio. They call it the Steam for AI. That's a big claim.
It is, but it's a very apt comparison. I mean, think about Steam for video games. You don't manually install DirectX or audio drivers for every game.
No, you just click play.
Pinokio does that for AI. It is essentially a browser or a launcher. It manages everything under the hood.
So it handles all that messy stuff.
Completely. You download the installer, you run it, and it creates a contained environment, like a sandbox.
So it can't mess up my actual computer.
It builds a wall around the software. It handles the Python scripts, the Torch installations, the virtual environments. You don't see any of that.
So it's effectively one click.
Effectively, yes. You install Pinokio, you search for 12GP in its Discovery tab. It looks just like an app store. And you click Install.
And 12GP is the interface, the control panel.
Exactly. Think of 12GP as the studio control panel that runs inside Pinokio. It unifies all the different models like WAN and LTX2 into one clean web UI. You're not typing code, you're clicking buttons in a browser window.
That shifts the dynamic completely. It goes from an engineering task to just an installation task.
Like installing Word or Excel. Precisely.
I have to ask, though, does this tool actually democratize the technology, or does it just simplify the interface? Is there a difference?
It bridges the gap between coder and creator, making the tech invisible so the art can happen.
I love that, making the tech invisible. So once you have that invisible tech running, you have to choose a brain for your studio. The sources talk about two main heavy hitters, WAN 2.2 and LTX2.
Right.
As a newbie, how do I choose?
They serve different purposes. Think of them like different camera lenses or different directors. If you're looking for pure visual fidelity, Hollywood-level textures, complex physics, lighting that just behaves correctly, WAN 2.2 is your benchmark.
So it's the powerhouse for visuals.
It's the powerhouse. If you want a shot of a futuristic city with rain reflecting off the pavement, WAN 2.2 is your go-to.
But then there's LTX2. And this is the one that really caught my attention. It was released back in January 2026, and the source calls it the star. Why is this one getting so much hype?
Because it solves the synchronization problem. This has been the holy grail for AI video for so long.
Right.
Previous models generated video, then you had to go to a separate tool for sound, another tool for dialogue, and then try to stitch it all together.
And the lips were always a little off, like a bad dubbed movie.
Exactly. LTX2 changes that. It's a 19 billion parameter model that generates video, audio, and lip sync narration in a single pass.
A single pass.
It understands the scene acoustically as well as visually.
Wait, so it handles the Foley work, like footsteps and wind?
Yes. If the character is walking on gravel, you hear gravel. If they're speaking, their lips move in time with the audio. It's multimodal by default.
So you're not prompting for a video, you're prompting for a moment.
A moment. That's a great way to put it.
That is a massive leap in workflow. But there's a catch, right? A 19 billion parameter model sounds heavy.
It is.
You mentioned earlier that 8 GB of VRAM is the floor, but 19 billion parameters usually requires way more than that.
It's huge. The full model is around 40 gigabytes. For most people, that is going to choke their system, which is why the guide strongly recommends the distilled version.
Distilled. It sounds like whiskey or specialized chemistry. What does that actually mean in AI terms?
Well, in a way, it is like whiskey. It's a concentrated version. They've managed to compress the model size from 40 gigs down to about 20.
How do they do that?
They essentially teach a smaller student model to mimic the big teacher model. You lose a tiny fraction of visual fidelity. It might be slightly less crisp, maybe the background is a little softer, but the trade-off is that it runs smoothly on consumer GPUs without crashing.
So you're trading a little bit of pixel perfection for the ability to actually run the thing.
Exactly.
So why choose the distilled version over the full power model?
Performance over perfection. It cuts storage in half and stops your home PC from melting.
I'll take a working PC over a melted one any day. Okay, so we've got Pinokio installed, we've selected the distilled LTX2 model, now we have to configure it. The source mentions a critical do this once step about memory profiles. This seems like the place where people get tripped up.
Yes, this is where you prevent the headaches. Inside the WAN2GP interface, there's a configuration tab. Under performance, you can select a memory profile.
And these profiles correspond to your hardware tier.
Correct. Profile 1 is for lower-end systems. Maybe you're scraping by on 6 GB. Profile 3 is for the high-end beasts with 24 GB or more. But the sweet spot for that standard 16 GB setup we talked about
Is Profile 2.
is Profile 2.
Yeah.
You set that once, and the system knows how to manage its resources. It tells the AI, hey, don't eat more than this amount of memory so it doesn't crash mid-render.
Okay, Profile 2, locked in. Now let's generate something. The guide suggests starting with text prompt only.
Mm-hmm.
And they give the specific example that I found really funny. It's a business meeting.
Ah, yes, the famous cookie prompts.
Right. The prompt is, 3 people sit around a table. One woman says, the cookies will tell us when the time is right. It's so weirdly specific.
It's a great stress test, though.
It's surreal, but what happens when you run it? Walk me through the actual experience of hitting generate.
Well, first you have to be patient. It takes about 2 minutes for the first run because the model has to load from your hard drive into that VRAM. We call that the cold start.
Okay, so don't panic and nothing happens for a minute.
Exactly. Don't start clicking wildly. But once it's loaded, subsequent runs drop to about 30 seconds.
Wow.
And the result of that cookie prompt, it's a realistic office scene.
Right.
Professional lighting, suits, ties. But crucially, the woman actually says the line. Her lips match the words, and the context, that bizarre tension of the cookie prophecy, is maintained in the visuals.
That's wild. It's doing the visual rendering and the audio synthesis at the same time.
And it costs $0. That's the kicker.
So what is the significance of that specific cookie prompt working correctly, aside from being funny?
It proves the model understands context, dialogue, and surrealism simultaneously, all locally.
Understanding surrealism is a high bar for AI, or maybe for humans too.
For sure.
But let's say I don't want to start from scratch. I have a bunch of images from Midjourney or Nano Banana Pro. I want to animate them.
This is the image-to-video workflow. And honestly, for storytellers, this is incredibly powerful. You're not rolling the dice on a new character every time. You're taking an existing asset and giving it motion.
The example prompt in the source is evocative. The person keeps walking toward the castle. Snow falls. The camera slowly moves forward.
Simple directional commands. You upload the image, type that prompt, and the AI calculates the physics. It knows how snow falls. It knows how a camera dolly works. It extrapolates the movement.
And again, where does this file go? In the cloud era, it went to some library on a website somewhere.
Here, it goes straight to your hard drive. Specifically, the folder path is WAN, Git, then app, then outputs. It's all organized by date.
So it's just a file, like a Word doc or a JPEG.
Exactly. You own it. There's no middleman holding your IP. There's no download button you have to click before your subscription expires. It's just yours.
How does local storage change the creative relationship with the work?
It shifts ownership.
Yep.
Your IP never leaves your drive, granting total privacy and control.
Okay, we're back. We've covered the how-to, but I want to talk about the what if it breaks. Because let's be real, technology breaks.
Oh, it does.
And when you're your own IT department, that can be scary. The source mentions that most bugs aren't actually code errors.
Right. Beginners often panic when the generation fails or the app crashes. They assume the software is broken or they installed it wrong. 99% of the time, it's simply a resource limit.
You ran out of VRAM.
Yeah, I ran out of VRAM.
So the solution isn't to reinstall Windows or format your hard drive?
No, definitely not. The solution is usually simple. Switch to the Distilled model if you haven't already, or maybe lower the resolution from 1080p to 720p. It's about managing the size of your gas tank, essentially.
Right.
If you try to drive 500 miles on a gallon of gas, the car will stop. It's not broken, it's just empty.
And what about compatibility? We've talked a lot about Nvidia. Is this a Windows-only club?
No, Pinokio handles Windows, Mac, and Linux. Now, I have to be honest. Nvidia GPUs are the gold standard here. That's just the reality of the CUDA ecosystem right now.
Yeah.
But there is documentation for AMD support. It's becoming more universal. If you're on a Mac with Apple Silicon, Pinokio handles that translation layer too, though it might be a bit slower.
This brings us to the philosophy of it all. Why does this matter? Why go through the trouble of installing Pinokio and managing memory profiles when I could just pay the $30 and use a cloud website?
It comes down to 3 things: privacy, quotas, and speed.
Let's unpack privacy first, because I think people shrug this off sometimes. I have nothing to hide.
Sure, but it's not just about hiding things. It's about creative freedom. When you type a prompt into a corporate cloud model, that prompt is data. It's being analyzed. It's potentially being used to train future models. Your creative process is being profiled.
Read it.
Locally, that data never leaves your Ethernet port. You can explore controversial topics, personal ideas, or proprietary business concepts without leaking IP.
That's huge for businesses especially. You don't want your confidential marketing strategy training a public AI model.
Exactly. And then you have quotas, the credit anxiety. You know the feeling. I have 50 credits left this month. Do I really want to waste one on this experimental idea?
Oh, absolutely. I hoard them. I end up not making anything because I'm saving them for the perfect idea.
Exactly. That kills creativity. It makes you risk-averse.
Hmm.
When the cost is zero, you can generate 100 bad variations to find the one good one. You can make mistakes.
You can afford to fail.
You can afford to play. And that is where innovation happens. When you aren't watching a meter tick down, you try things you never would have tried otherwise.
And speed. You mentioned earlier that the first run takes 2 minutes, which sounds slow compared to some websites.
The cold start is slower, yes. But once that model is loaded into your VRAM, it's blazing fast.
Okay.
You aren't waiting in a server queue behind 10,000 other users. You aren't dealing with internet latency. It's instantaneous responsiveness. It feels like an instrument, not a service.
It feels like we are moving toward a world where local AI isn't the alternative. It's becoming the standard for serious creators.
I think so. The gap between what a cloud cluster can do and what a home GPU can do is shrinking every single month.
If the gap is shrinking, what is the only remaining advantage of the cloud?
Just raw scale. But for personal storytelling, local offers freedom the cloud can't match.
Freedom. That's the big idea here. We've moved from a credit-based economy of creativity, where you pay per thought, to an era of ownership.
It's a fundamental shift. With a mid-range card, some open source software, and a bit of patience, your home computer is a studio.
And the barrier to entry isn't $5,000. It isn't a degree in computer science. It is simply the initiative to download an installer.
That is it.
The source ends with a question that I think is worth chewing on. Will you be ready when this becomes normal?
Yeah.
Because it is becoming normal fast.
It is. And the people who learn to manage these local workflows now, who learn how to prompt, how to manage VRAM, how to iterate without cost, they're going to have a massive advantage over the people still waiting for their monthly credits to refresh.
So here's your homework. Right now, hit Control-Shift-ESC, check your Performance tab, look at your GPU memory. If you see an 8 or a 12 or anything higher, give it a shot. Go to Pinokio.co. Try the installation.
It costs you nothing but a little bit of disk space to see the future.
And honestly, it's pretty fun to watch the cookies tell you when the time is right.
It certainly is.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.